welcome to GreenBiz Studio. I'm James Ball, the Director of Buildings at GreenBiz, and I'm excited to be speaking today with Sandeep Modhvadia, the Vice President of Product with Acuity Brands. Hello, Sandeep.
Hey, James. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Let's go straight to the topic that everybody's wrestling with today, Scope 3 carbon reduction. How are you doing it? How are you tackling this really deep area of decarbonization in your product lines?
Yeah, I think the first thing is like Scope 3 is big and it's complex. And I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all solution for any organization. What we do is we provide tooling to make it easier for you to just manage the data once you have it. The number one thing our customers tell us whenever we speak to them with Scope 3 is like, I don't know where it exists. It's everywhere, right? So it's kind of whack-a-mole a little bit. So what we say is, look, we can't get all of your data for you, but once you've collected it, we can make managing it a lot easier. And it's one of the reasons why we say to a lot of our customers, like, we know Scope 3 is the big one. It's the one where you're feeling the most pain, but let us help you with Scope 1 and 2 first. It's an easy on-ramp, and then you can use the same tooling to be able to manage all of your Scope 3 data as well. And then the big thing there is like, sounds so trite, but it is a process. Like, you don't have to win the battle in the first instance. Like, get what you can, feel comfortable with it, and then we'll move on to the next batch of Scope 3 data that you have. So, that's really how we approach it: is start where you can, win the battles that you can, get the quick wins out, and use that to build your comfort and confidence around using both the tool set and also working with Scope 3 data.
So now let's go to the other side. We talk about these internal operations, this product work, but you're creating products that are really transforming the tenant experience in buildings. Speak to me a bit about how you see kind of that tenant change in the products that you create.
Yeah, and one of the things, the biggest thing that we see is tenants are more vocal, right? Like, occupants are more vocal about the spaces that they live in, right? And this is just a very human piece of kind of feedback: is temperature, light sensitivity, air quality, all these types of things. The ability to individually tune those variables for my own comfort is super important, because if I'm comfortable, I'm happy. If I'm happy, I'm productive. The challenge is most of these tools tend to be organized at a building level, or maybe even a floor level if you're lucky, but you don't provide end user control. And so one of the things we're looking at is, how do you provide control surfaces for occupants and an occupant singular? Like, that's the hard part, right? Because you may say, hey, I want the house to be 68 degrees. And I'm like, all right, well, I want it to be 72. Like, do we compromise at 70 and we both feel unhappy? Or do we figure out the right way to optimize the space based on what you need at the time you need it versus when I need it? Now, we're still a long ways away from being able to do that. You still need a lot of systems and infrastructure. But I think that's where the future is heading towards, is the ability to have almost microclimates and micro settings that automatically adjust to what individuals need. And by the way, we see this today, right? We see this like with Nest thermostats in homes today. Like, it learns from what the people in the house like, and then it optimizes to the family. There's no reason at all, if you can't solve a problem at the small scale, to be able to scale it out at a large scale at a building level.
Interesting. Yeah. Let's stay right there in this kind of future oriented vision that you have and where Acuity Brands is helping us go in terms of this intersection between smart buildings and the sustainability mandates that we have right now. What else is on the horizon for you?
I'd say the sustainability mandates are a great way to act as a catalyst for all smart building work, right? So it's like, you think about externally, everyone's saying, hey, you got to reduce carbon, reduce energy, and the businesses has a pressure of, okay, well, we want to reduce costs. Like, all of those speak to this big, huge, complex set of assets, which are our buildings. I think ultimately the landscape is going to move towards two outcomes. One is the building needs to be more automated, and then the other is the building needs to be more optimized. So automation, buildings are complex. We've got diminishing labor pools. We don't have a lot of new experts coming into the industry. How do we use technology to operate more buildings with fewer people? Right? I think that's the first major beachhead. The second then is, how do we get better yields out of our building, right? So how do we make sure the building operates more efficiently? How do we make sure it operates more cost effectively? These are things that we don't do today because we're so focused on just making sure the building runs. A building running is more paramount than a building running efficiently, right? Kind of crawl, walk, run type of thing. So I think those will be the two vectors that we see buildings move towards, is autonomous and optimized. The good thing is, kind of right back to that previous conversation we were having, which is once you have the infrastructure to make the building automated and optimized, it's that same infrastructure and same technology that then allows you to connect to the occupants, right? So we get like the occupant benefit experiences for free once we solve the basic problems around automation and optimization.
Wow. A lot of exciting stuff to look forward to. You all just heard from Sandeep Modhvadia, the Vice President of Product with Acuity Brands. Thank you so much, Sandeep.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, James.